enter a world of fantastic heroic adventure, where magic really works and monsters roam the land. You are an adventurer on a quest to retrieve the fabled crown of command from its fearsome guardian, the Dragon King. You must find one of the magic talismans that will allow you to enter the Dragon King's lair and then defeat him in mortal combat. On your quest, you will encounter powerful enemies, discover friends and magical artifacts, and meet strange beings. Finally, when you have gained sufficient power, you can confront the Dragon King in your bid to secure the crown of command. Talisman is a game played in a mythical world of dragons and sorcery. As a warrior, wizard, elf, dwarf, or one of 7 other characters with special powers, each player must set off on a quest to find the magic talisman. The journey will be filled with danger. Monsters, traps, and evil beings are waiting to defeat your player character. With skill and luck, you will survive to find the crown of command, the greatest treasure of them all. Only then will victory be yours. Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is HeroQuest, and this is Talisman, the magical quest game, a game published in 1994 by Games Workshop, at least this version, which is the 3rd edition. For 2 or more players, aged 12 to adult, and a single session could take anywhere from 2 to 6 years. Bit of a disclaimer before we continue, we're not actually just unboxing the base game of Talisman, we are also unboxing the City of Adventure expansion, which I have in this box, as well as the Dungeon of Doom expansion. We are also unboxing, to a degree, the Dragon's Tower expansion, which is super rare and very hard to get. The only caveat to all of this is we don't have any of the original boxes for these 3X packs. They are boxed in with the base game, and the Dragon's Tower is missing the most crucial element, which is the Dragon's Tower itself. You're actually looking at the singular pages that are the rules for each of these expansions, and I want to explain something, but pictures are worth 1,000 words, so to supplement my explanations, let us open up the beautifully illustrated 3rd edition Talisman board. This is a product of its Games Workshop 90s time. Talisman is a simple enough board. You could replicate this almost on any size, at any scale. You could make this incredibly tiny and it would still be playable. We are looking at 3 concentric rings. Well, they're very angular rings, but forgive me. An outer layer, a middle, and an inner. And although I have called this my favorite board, after looking at the earliest editions of Talisman, I'm not so sure anymore. But one thing's for sure, I do actually like what a lot of other people really dislike on this board. There's about 50 of them. They almost decorate every single square. This board art is kind of famous for them. Can you tell what it is I am talking about? Yes. It is the skulls. There are skulls absolutely everywhere. The board is littered with them. You can't go 2 spaces without stepping on someone's skull. We have the Black Knight, who is made of skulls and wields skulls. We have on the hills space, our toll keeper is this skull sorcerer with not only a skull on his scepter, but a skull on the end of his hood. And actually he's got like skull plate mail, which is partially obscured by the Hills scroll. Where there aren't skulls, there are scrolls, which is probably skull in another language. The center of the board sports this amazing tower art, which I really love, but it kind of drastically changes the dynamic of the board from every other edition, because the editions before and after this have on here a playable track of spaces. When you land on the wizard's tower, instead of advancing on spaces, you are instead drawing from a deck of cards for this 3rd edition. That's probably the only drawback. The Dragon's Tower expansion actually fixes this. We place the Dragon's Tower here on the center of the board, and it gives you this vertical real estate of a 3-dimensional playable series of skulls that you will advance your character upon, following the rules until you get to the top space and fight the dragon. And it is one of the most impressive displays because of the size and scale of the actual dragon miniature that comes with the game. Not the base game, but the Dragon's Tower expansion. The other expansions follow the popular and highly in demand currently convention of adding further board spaces to the corners of the existing skulls. For Dungeon of Doom, we add the Mountain Realm and the Dungeon Realm, and this expansion does come with 2 more sections of board that you can place on the table. The corners of the board now will act as portals to these expansions, allowing you to expand your gameplay area and give you more opportunities to meet the objectives of winning the game, such as getting more gold, finding a talisman, gaining certain upgrades or other advantages to get the upper hand over your opponents, or perhaps get absolutely boned in the process. And by boned, I mean there's skulls all over the board. This game is very much ingrained into the Games Workshop universe. There are a ton of Warhammer-esque classes and characters on the playable character boards, and of course the Citadel sculpts are among the finest you can find from this era. I've gone on record to say it before, but I will say it very clearly here. All of the Citadel sculpts that come with the 3rd edition of Talisman and its expansions are perfectly suitable, immediately usable for HeroQuest, at least the classic edition. So it's good to see that trend kind of continue with the 5th edition of Talisman being produced by Avalon Hill, and the sculpts being, I swear up and down, the same sculptor that does the HeroQuest sculpts. Or at least one of the same that does them. Cones, cones, cones. Have you ever seen a simpler game piece that is so more closely associated with a board game, other than, say, like a chess piece or checker piece? It goes checker, chess, cone. When you think of cones, you think of Talisman. If I'm wrong, no, I'm not. You are. Taking everything out of the box, admittedly, it's not in the best shape. As a 90s Games Workshop product, we have our lovely illustrations and painted miniatures on the sides of the box bottom. We have illustrations of all of the cards that come with the game, descriptions of each of the characters. And I said art, but I guess for Talisman, it's just going to be the painted miniatures. But that's enough for me. We have some really brilliant examples of painted miniatures there. This box has that exact Mighty Empires, Advanced Space Crusade, Warhammer Quest size to it that was popular for a number of years at the time. Pros and cons of having corner board expansions, well, I pretty much named all the pros. They're very easy to sit down and apply. Bam, you have now more table space. Everybody can immediately take advantage of it as long as they land on the prerequisite portal space. The con really is just that you're going to need a bigger table to accommodate them. Some editions of Talisman require an enormous table. You're just not going to be able to play unless you have the space. One thing's for sure, if you can play Battle Masters, you can play Talisman on that space, on that surface, and vice versa. The quasi-pro and con, the quantum pro-con, is that there are more skulls on every space. Skull, 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 skull. I am a total bonehead, and so are these skulls. Anyway, these are the woods. We've got the copse, the glade, the path, the woodland, the clearing. On almost every space, you have the ability to draw one forest card. And the expansions for Talisman are expansions done right. They really can't get any simpler. You add the board section, and you have a deck of cards that is now associated with that board section. And you have characters, new characters that you can play as that have new advantages and disadvantages. Okay, we're gonna do one thing here. We're going to show you the plastic dragon, the FT09, I think. This wasn't just available in the Dragon's Tower expansion. This was also available as the last in the product numbers of Games Workshop's toy box lineup, FT01 through FT09. I have a lot of those in my collection. I keep this particular dragon disassembled so that it will actually fit in the box, but this is probably my favorite dragon sculpt. It is second. It's my second favorite dragon sculpt. I'm gonna actually show you this though, because I have a separate dragon that I keep that is fully assembled, and it is the metal version of this dragon. So I guess you could count that as a third source of being able to obtain this dragon, because this one's plastic, the toy box dragon is plastic, and then the dragon made for Warhammer Fantasy Battles, I believe, is the one that's metal. I actually can't tell if the previous owner had this dragon to where it was easy to assemble and disassemble in between sessions, or if they had to permanently disassemble it in order to ship it in the box to me. I know one thing for sure, and that is it was the most cost-effective to get this as a job lot of the expansions all together in one box. That's how I got it. And when I got it, I sold every other 3rd edition talisman thing that I had because I now had doubles. And I don't do doubles. Okay, I'm doing things a bit out of order. What I really want to do is explain and talk a little bit about the Talisman board game itself, and then we can get into the expansion stuff. I suppose the stream of consciousness has really taken over again though. The objective of the game really is super simple. You really just have to beef yourself up enough by getting enough strength, craft, gold. The gold is to be able to afford weapons, armor, and followers, which will add to your strength and craft, and then be lucky enough to obtain a talisman and be also lucky enough to pass all of your strength and craft checks on the way to the end of the tower, where you will fight the strongest monster of them all. And after you best that monster, which is another skill check, and you have the highest chances of doing so if you have bolstered your strength and craft, you will obtain the Crown of Command and win the game. It's a 2 to, I believe, 4-player game in pretty much all of its reincarnations, so you are sort of in a race to get stronger or push your luck. There is a path on the board to get from the outer ring to the center ring, and there is a space to get from the center ring to get to the middle. But each of these concentric rings of spaces increase in the challenges and checks that you will encounter. It is a roll to move game, so when you roll the die, you get to pick which direction your adventure is going to go. You don't have to just go one direction like Monopoly, but a lot of the times, the direction that you're going to go is going to end up with the same consequence. So like if we are on the woods space and we roll a 2, then that's 1, 2. We can either go to the hills and draw 1 adventure card, or we can go to the fields and draw 1 adventure card. It's really more a matter of what space are you trying to get to that's more unique, that will give you an advantage if you can push your luck there. There are plenty of D6 that come with this, a lovely little scale, such cute tiny dice. I love them. And I have these larger dice, 1 die with each corner board expansion. I think I mentioned Dungeon of Doom comes with the Mountain Realm and the Dungeon Realm, while the City of Adventure expansion comes with the City Realm as well as the Forest Realm. So if you have both of these expansions, you will have all 4 corners accounted for. This is the special Realm die, and you'll roll this to determine how many spaces your characters will move when they are in one of the corner realms. Instead of 1 through 6 being the pips on the faces, we have 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, and 4. They are there to reduce the amount of spaces on average that you will travel, so that you can have a nice, slower experience moving through the realms. What could be simpler? We've also got our coins, which flip over to show the Games Workshop logo. Beautiful Talisman coins. Talisman has always had just such fun coins, whether they are tokens or bright gold cheap plastic, or I might be wrong, didn't the earliest edition have like just little yellow cardboard chits? Maybe that's not fun for me, but every other iteration's been fun. We also have these lovely toad tokens because in Talisman you can of course turn into a slimy toad. You know, the box says for 2 or more players. It doesn't actually cap it at 4. The how to play for Talisman is simple. In fact, that's all it is. 3 pages, 4, but the first page is the cover. Here we go. It can be played by up to 6 players. I amend my earlier statement. It's probably like super well known that you can play with up to 6 players. I can't imagine playing with 6. Tell me about your 6-player Talisman games. What's the downtime on that like? It's crazy, right? Turns have to be blessedly short though. But on the flip side, everything is so simple, you have to have a lot of turns to accomplish simple things, right? This page explains the objective as well as all the components that come with the game. The setup and character cards are next, as well as the explanation for gold, objects, and followers. Then playing the game. The playing the game section is very short. The first thing you do in your turn is roll a dice to determine how many spaces your character must move. A character must always move, even if it starts the turn in a space with an adventure card or another character. The character may move either way around the board, but must be moved the full amount of the dice roll. You are not allowed to backtrack and enter a square for a second time when you move. You may only cross between the outer and inner regions via the toll bridge, or if a card or space states that you may do so. For example, if you started at the chapel and rolled a 4, you could move 4 spaces to the hidden valley, crossing the toll bridge as you did so. However, every time you cross the toll bridge, you must pay 1 gold. If you do not have the gold, you may not cross, and you only may enter the Wizard's Tower from the causeway space. You must stop moving upon entering. This is the causeway space here. Draw 1 adventure card. You may enter the Wizard's Tower from this space. You must stop moving upon entering, even if you have some spaces of movement left over. If you start a turn in the tower, you must leave and travel around the inner region for a turn. You may not re-enter the tower on the same turn that you leave it. Then encounters. The second thing you do in each turn is resolve any encounters. You only have encounters in the space in which your character ends its move or a space where it is moved as a result of an encounter. You must choose to either encounter the space itself or the other player who was in the space. If there are no other players on the space, you must encounter the space. And that means you will do what the space says, like draw 1 adventure card, or draw 3 adventure cards, or either discard 1 gold or lose 1 life to the Black Knight. Really? So he's unbeatable. He's just gonna come up and whack you upside the head unless you pay him a gold. What a bully. And here I thought he looked like such a nice guy. You trust a guy with a skull. When you encounter a space, you follow the instructions on the space. If the space has 1 or more adventure cards already in it, follow the instructions for the space first, and then follow the instructions on the cards. Some instructions must be followed, others may be followed at your discretion. If there is another character on a space where your character ends a move, you may choose to encounter them instead of the space and any adventure cards in it. Encountering another player takes one of 2 forms. You may either attack them or use one of your character's special abilities on the other player. These are adventure cards. Go ahead and draw from the base game stack here. This is a hermit, so we have the title, we have the picture, we have the special rules, we have the action, which is leave, we have the type, which is stranger, and we have the order, which is 4. Adventure cards should be dealt with in the order determined by the number at the bottom center of the card. The lowest number is tackled first, then the next lowest, and so on. In the case of a tie, you may choose what order to encounter the cards in. The action in the bottom right corner of the card tells you what you must do. It's always going to be attack, discard, keep, or leave, and the card will just stay on the space if you are to leave it, or if you cannot resolve it. If you cannot reach an instruction that removes the card from the board. There could be several cards on a space depending on what kind of cards they are. So when your fellow players land on the space, it can have the similar effect of them landing on your space where you have bought plenty of hotels in Monopoly, and that's I think the last comparison I'll do with Monopoly. I'm sorry. I made a crack earlier about the corner expansions being in high demand. That's because Avalon Hill is currently publishing the 5th edition of expansions, for Talisman and its expansions, yes, and we don't have a version of any expansion that has been done before. Avalon Hill seemed to be producing purely original content for Talisman's newest edition. So we've gotten stuff to place on the center of the board, and we've gotten new decks of cards and new mechanics for characters. But so far, nothing to accommodate extra playing spaces, outside of the existing board anyway. 4th edition had this in spades. You not only had the corners of the board, but you had expansions that linked the corners of the board outside of the main board. The manual goes on to explain attacks, toads, death, the Talisman realms, and the most important rule. By the way, the Talisman is the start of a lifetime of adventure. In preparation are 3 expansion sets which include new lands, monsters, and fabulous treasures to discover. Watch out for the exciting products whatever Games Workshop games are sold. And the sheer number of cards, spaces, and characters Talisman mean that every now and then a situation will arise that the rules do not specifically cover. Usually, these situations are easily resolved, but if you do get completely stuck, simply write down the problem so that it can be answered with a yes or no and then roll a dice. On a 4 to 6, the answer is yes. On a 1 to 3, it is no. If you want an official answer to a rules problem, you can write to us at the address below. I think they're actually still there. They might actually still answer questions on account of Talisman still being a Games Workshop product despite it being licensed by Avalon Hill. You could also probably ask Avalon Hill if it pertains to their 5th edition specifically. You can imagine a scenario where you ask a very specific question about a very specific situation that can occur in both 3rd and 5th edition of Talisman. And so you word your yes or no question and you present it to both entities separately without the other one knowing, and then they come back with just totally different answers. That would be hilarious. There are a lot of adventure cards, and the expansions only add on to this amount, well, in the form of their own respective decks anyway, but they'll have more or less the same effect. 4th edition adds entire decks of adventure cards to your arsenal, and if you are planning on playing with every expansion for 4th edition, you have an absolute mess on your gigantic table. And you have stacks of decks, that's a stack, of cards that will reach the ceiling. But this is where you're going to encounter bad guys like the Berserker frothing at the mouth, the Manticore, the Bandit, the Orc, the Grizzly Bear, the Angel, the Wand, the Chiu, oh wait no, upside down, the Witch, We see that we can encounter monsters, objects, strangers, otherwise known as NPCs, and places like the cave. You may enter the cave. If you decide to do so, roll a dice. 1, attacked by a dragon of strength 7. 2, attacked by a goblin of strength 2. 3, lost, miss your next turn. 4, gain 1 gold. 5, gain 2 gold. 6, gain 3 gold. Very straightforward, a quiver of arrows. If you have a bow and it runs out of arrows, you may discard this card instead of the bow. The mule will carry up to 4 objects for you. If you lose the mule, you lose any objects that it was carrying. This is a warhammer mule. Look at the grim determination on its jowls. Its countenance knows. Serpent, astral conjunction. This is an event. All spirits have their craft doubled for 1 round. Cursed by hag. You may have no followers except for the jester and the poltergeist as long as the hag is with you. Ditch any followers you have in this space. The hag will shuffle off to the discard pile if you visit the village mystic, even if the mystic ignores you. The highwayman, strength 4. The highwayman will not attack you if you give him 1 gold. A trapdoor, and I love the art for this, and I will hear not a single unkind word about any of the art on any of the cards. You can talk about the skulls on the board. And we can even talk a little bit about how the artwork and the sort of ring around the spaces is somewhat evoked by the 5th edition's weird perspective in its artwork on the board. But I will not hear a single unkind word about this excellent, simple, very effective, classy, nostalgic art on these cards from '94. A trapdoor opens beneath your feet. You may attempt to avoid the trap by rolling onto your craft on 2 dice. If you fail to make the roll or decide not to try, then you land in the vault space in the dungeon. Roll low systems, baby. A sure sign of a mature game. There's a few other cards I want to show you, like the Pegasus, gold coins. Discard this card and take 1 gold counter. The zombie, the goblin, the gorilla, the imp, the outlaw. We do have doubles of cards in the deck. The shade, he's throwing shade. The familiar, the pool of life, the maze, the helmet, the water bottle. Can't wait to know what the subtitles say about that one. The cross, the guide, the raiders. And we're going to take one more look here at the ogre, and then we're going to move on. Now, there is a market on the board here somewhere. You have opportunities to buy items, to buy objects, like the broadsword. That's right, the broadsword makes its appearance in this game as well, and there are enough cards for all of the players to have one in most cases for these objects. The armor, the bow, the water bottle, which, yeah, we did find a water bottle in the adventure deck. That is something that you can do as well. Find these instead of having to buy them. The shield, the helmet, another example of an item that you can find. The horse. If you have the horse, you may roll 2 dice for movement and use the highest roll. If you decide to roll 2 dice, you must use the dice with the highest score for your movement. The mule makes a return, the horse and cart. And these forms of travel are actually a little bit lessened. We don't have 6 of each of these in the deck, so somebody is going to get shafted when they visit the stable a little too late. The great axe, we've only got 2. Quiver of arrows. I'm making a quiver of errors. Battle axes. The battle axe. There are also spells. Don't worry, we're going to look at the beautiful miniatures very shortly. We've got spells in this game like teleport, displacement, random, divination, psionic blast, healing, and that's so funny to see a green hand casting the spell. Acquisition, destruction, water walking. Well, I really allowed these to get topsy-turvy, didn't I? Siphon. Automatically one of my favorites thanks to its presence of a skull. Immobility, alchemy, temporal warp, destroy magic, barrier, fireball, curse. And I think the art on this stuff is just fine. Honestly, I love the association of just the simple shapes, and this to me, this is awesome. This is peak artistic direction. You could use these spells on your fellow players, or in some cases yourself. So we looked at the how to play, and of equal length is the how to paint your models. Games Workshop really loved showing you how to paint amazing models, and who can blame them? Who can fault them for this? To buy a game and then be stunned by the pictures of the models, which you could completely customize by applying your own paints, or buying from the Citadel range, no pressure. That makes the game even more yours, and I think it inspired just an endless amount of painters today. The instructions for the expansions are extremely simple. We have our contents, an introduction, the setup. Shuffle the 3 extra adventure cards provided with Dungeon of Doom into the Talisman adventure card deck, then shuffle the 6 new character sheets in with the Talisman character sheets. Take the 2 new board sections, or realms as they are described from now on, and place them next to the main Talisman board as shown in the diagram below. Shuffle the dungeon and mountain card decks and place them near the appropriate realm, and place the Morax Hammer and Rune Sword special cards beside the Mountain Realm board. Talisman rules are unchanged. The game is still won by defeating the Dragon King at the center of the board. Entering and leaving the realms and moving in the realms is covered in their own sections, but other than that, you are ready to just slap the board sections down and play. And the same thing applies with the City of Adventure expansion. Although we now have titles in the city, it is possible to be given special titles by landing on certain spaces or encountering certain city cards. The 4 titles are King's Champion, High Mage, Sheriff, and Master Thief. Each title is represented by a special card. Take the card if you are given the title. You may keep the card until another player is given hit the post. If this happens, you must pass the card on to the new title holder. Purchase cards. City of Adventure includes new purchase cards. Add these to the purchased card deck at the start of the game. A number of spaces and cards allow you to purchase items from the purchase card deck. In order to purchase an item, simply pay the amount of gold listed below or shown on the space and take the card from the deck. Did I take the purchase card? There's no way. I know the base game came with purchase cards. It had to have. Am I wrong? Does the base game not come with purchase cards? Oh my goodness. It does come with purchase cards. I was gonna say, this isn't the first base game of Talisman that I've owned in the 3rd edition, and the other one had purchase cards too. Okay, the tower is no different, honestly. You add the section, you travel onto it. It does not come with a special die, but it does come with assembly instructions for the Dragon's Tower. One day, I will have this Dragon's Tower, and I will probably not assemble the dragon to place him on top. We have our instructions, and I have seen 3D printed alternatives to actually build the tower, and then some instruction on printing off the spaces and affixing them to the physical tower, and then it would be easy to break down and store in the box. You'd be able to have your tower that way. I think I'm gonna go that route. I think I am gonna go that route. We have instructions on assembling the Dragon King model as well. I promised I was gonna show off my assembled Dragon King model, and I am gonna do that very shortly. First, we're gonna take a look at the largest Games Workshop catalog I've ever seen in my life. This beautiful artwork of this Chaos Warrior just dominates. I need a poster of this. I need like a 2x4 foot poster. I don't even care what it's from. Is this Old World? Is it Age of Sigmar? Is it 40k? Who cares? It looks amazing. The Games Workshop hobby. Poison starts with collecting, then it infects you with painting, then, before you know it, you're really sick, modeling, and finally, if you are of the most depraved, vile, close to death, you are gaming. Hey look, it's the Lord of the Rings strategy battle game. We have some catalog bits in here, all things that were around at the time. I love going through this sort of trip down memory lane. We have Warhammer 40k, whatever edition that ends up being. A bunch of boxes for 40k, the Devilfish, the Codex Tau, Codex for Space Marines. Brutal orcs battle the mighty Space Marines. Archaon's horde of chaos bears its fury upon the mighty Empire. Now we're just talking about Warhammer. This is just fantasy battles. War gaming at its finest. The Lord of the Rings gets its own entire page. We've got Eowyn, Grimo Wormtongue, Saruman, Theoden, Gimli, Aragorn. Unfortunately, it does look like it has the cast of Peter Jackson's movie littered all over the box, showing that, sadly, its popularity as a war game at the time may be attributed to the movies. I could be wrong about that, but we'll never know. Unless there was an edition before that. I don't actually follow Lord of the Rings in the gaming sphere. Advertisements for books including Genevieve Undead, Deathwing, The Face of Battle, Necromunda, Warmaster, White Dwarf, and the Games Workshop website. It all looks vastly different now. I'm here to show you the mountain range. Yes, in case you had any doubts, in case you thought the skulls were done with you, they are not. We've got skulls embedded, sculpted into the very mountains themselves, or perhaps they are protruding out. Perhaps the world is just a skull shape in the world of Warhammer. We have skulls made of ice and snow and entire bridges. They're just in and on everything. We have the lair of the Eagle King. You must stop here and fight the Eagle King. Strength 6. If you win the battle, you manage to subdue the Eagle King rather than kill him. In your next turn, he will take you to any space in any region, including the Wizard's Tower. If you lose or draw, he immediately picks you up and drops you in the chasm space on the main board. Oh no, this is to the crags. I'm here to show you the dungeon. The dungeon entrance is here. You will now start drawing dungeon cards. The cavern, the corridor, the library. 2 more corridors, and a tunnel. Now we're going to walk into the skulls. The vault, the tunnel, corridor, cavern, the Hall of Darkness. You can't see the skulls, but you know that they're there. Corridors again, cavern, and a treasure chamber. You'll fight the Lord of Darkness in the treasure chamber. If you win, you can take a talisman and 2 gold. Win or lose in your next turn, you exit the dungeon on the causeway space and may move normally from there. If you kill the Lord of Darkness, then the next player to land here will find that a new Lord of Darkness has taken his place. It's amazing. I'm here to show you the city board, and this one works a little bit differently than the others. We've got separations of red lines. You cannot move between stalls. You will have to leave the stall and move to another space, and then you can enter the adjacent stall. Here we actually have a jail. You can bribe your way out of jail by paying 1 gold for yourself and each follower, or roll a dice. If you roll a 1, you're beaten by the cruel jailer. Lose a life. If you roll a 2, you fail to escape. Stay here. 4 to 6, escape. Characters who get out of jail are moved to the town square. We've also got the palace. You can apply for the post of sheriff, alchemist. The Wizard's Guild, you can apply to become the High Mage. Pawnbrokers, the Horse Market, the High Temple, where you can be blessed for a gold and take a blessing card. The Enchantress, the Armory, the Doctor's Surgery. The doctor will heal up to 2 lives at the cost of 1 gold each. He will also perform dental services, but that's not listed on the space. The Guild Street, and this takes you to the city gates. This is the Street of Temples. This space is the town square. This is the north side, Canal Street. This is the wharf. All of the board sections are not double-sided. They are single-sided, which means when you turn them over, they become completely invisible. Okay, I'd like to show you a sample of each of the card decks that come with the expansions. So for the forest, we'll have the Barrow White, the Beastman, yes, the Ghoul, the Magic Mushrooms, hooray, the Minotaur, the Boar, the Healer, the Snare, the Sword of Power, the Magic Arrow, the Shadow Dragon, the Hidden Path, the Magus, the Woodsman, the Lion. Yes, that looks like a lion to me. Never mind that, I said no unkind words. This is now what all lions are supposed to look like in real life, and if they don't, then they were designed wrong. Lost! It goes on like that, but you can rest assured that we have our events, our spirits, our followers, our monsters, and our objects. For a blessing, there are not a lot of tokens, not a lot of tiles at all in this game. Did you spot what little there were earlier? We have alignment, neutral, good, evil, that's it. You'll start with 1, but this may change, and you have different things that can happen to you depending on your alignment. Other than gold and the stats that outline your strength, craft, experience, and life, we really don't have any tokens, and I think that that's fantastic. City cards. You thought just because you were in the city you were safe from a water elemental? But you think they don't have water in the city? In fact, this might just be a sewage elemental. As you can imagine, this does take the opportunity to give you that city experience. We have the card game. You may gamble if you have 1 or more gold counters. If you do, roll a die. The press gang. If you lose, you're dragged to the wharf and must miss your next turn. The library. You may ask the librarian if he has a spell. Pay 2 gold and name a spell out loud. Then look through the cards in the spell deck. If the card with the exact name you gave is there, you may take it. Then shuffle and replace the pack. The circus. A circus troupe has set up a small sideshow in this place. One of your followers decides to join the circus and must be discarded. You may choose which follower you lose. That's hilarious. Employment. A shopkeeper offers you work. If you decide to take the job, you must miss your next turn, but you gain 3 gold counters. That's great. That is, you can actually get a job in Talisman. Plague. All players in the city must leave on their next turn or lose 1 life. Disgusting. The Lost card makes its return here. You can get lost in the city. The Giant Fly is here, as well as the Dancing Girl. You may send the Dancing Girl to entice away any other player that is about to attack you. The result of the attack is treated as being a draw, but the Dancing Girl joins your attacker, and you'll give them this card. These dancing girls ain't loyal. We're saving the best for last. We're going to look through a spattering of the mountain cards now. The Hidden Chasm. More of that artwork that I just love the most, the humor just embedded. The Snow Wolf, the Talisman, the Orc, the Merchant, the Cliff, the Prospector, and Griffin. We have our guide, we have our gold guineas, which is really just your pile of gold. Woolly Mammoth for some reason, at the mountains, the Tumbling Boulder. Then we have gems, we have diamonds, emeralds, we have potions of flight, dwarf rune masters, wyverns, ring of protections, volcanoes, earth elemental, the Ice Queen's palace. You may visit the Ice Queen if you wish. If you decide to do so, roll a dice. 1, turned into a toad for 3 turns. 2, ignored. 3 ignored, 4 heal 1 life, 5 gain 1 spell, 6 teleported to any space in this region. Any space in the mountain region, what a deal. Love that for you. Checking out the dungeon cards, and then we've only got 2 more things to really look at, the miniatures and the character boards. The dungeon cards include Dog. The dog will fight in your place if you want. He has a strength of 2 and a craft of 1. He will not add his score to yours if you fight. If he wins, you do not gain any experience. If he loses, you must discard this card. The sliding walls. The ceiling and wall start to close in on you. Roll 2 dice. If the score is less than or equal to your strength, you hold the walls apart and are safe. If you roll higher than your strength, you lose 1 life. Gold coins, the bronze dragon. That is a very strong dragon if you decide to venture into the dungeon. The strength of 8 is a lot. A Skaven, an actual named Games Workshop Warhammer baddie with a strength of 3. It's not the last time we're going to encounter the Skaven. The ogres very obviously are of the Games Workshop variety. Gong, Secret Passage, Gauntlet of Might, the Rat Ogre with a strength of 4. And they only have 1 more strength than our typical Skaven, huh? We've got spell rings in the dungeon. We've got crystals of power. We've got slavers. We've got giant beetles. We've got crawling slimes, my favorite. Giant spiders, giant rats, orcs, nightmares. What the heck? What am I looking at here? Green mists. Green mist, the dwarf farted. That's all that's going on here. A green mist envelops you and corrodes your equipment. Discard any helmet, shield, or armor you are carrying. That's what you get for eating at Applebee's. Get medieval Applebee's, old world Applebee's, cave-in, goblin, phantom hound, magic mirror. You look into the mirror and it shatters, but you gain 1 spell. Wow, so not very flattering, is it? Alright, it's time for my second favorite part of all of this. A giant stack of character boards that come with Talisman and all of its 3rd edition expansions. We have all of our special abilities lined out here, where the character actually starts, their starting gold, where you can place their strength, craft, and lives cones, as well as their experience cones, and the objects below and the followers below. This is a very handy thing to have. For special abilities, for the Chaos Warrior, you can take a battle axe, helmet, and armor from the purchase card deck at the start of the game. When you defeat an opponent in battle, you receive bonus experience points. Roll a dice. The score is the number of bonus experience points you receive. You may never take or cast a spell, no matter what your craft, and even if the spell is from an object or follower. I think it would be very good practice at this point to show you the miniatures alongside of the cards. I didn't hear any objections. The Chaos Warrior, you have definitely seen this sculpt. It's not the HeroQuest sculpt. It is actually not the HeroQuest sculpt. The Beast Man, who is not affected by the siren, and does not need to roll the dice in the forest unless you wish to. If you choose to roll, you must accept the result. What exactly does that mean? Do you just walk around as you wish? And yeah, it starts in the forest. Oh my god, at the start of your turn, you may choose to eat 1 or more of your followers. Discard each follower that you eat. Each follower eaten heals 1 of your lives. So I'm not going to do this in any particular order, just the order that they're already stacked in, which is not going to have any rhyme or reason, but some of these are going to be from the different expansions. Most of these are from the base game. I would say it's about 50-50. This sculpt you may have seen. This is a pretty popular 90s Beastman sculpt. I've got a box of these guys for Warhammer Fantasy Battles, and they all have this same pose. The Black Orc. Take a broadsword from the purchase card deck at the start of the game. You don't need to roll the dice in the crags unless you wish to, and when you encounter an orc, goblin, or wolf, you can take them as a follower. Then they'll march off to the discard pile, and you're unaffected by the siren. The Black Orc sculpt, mine is actually painted, is also a reused Fantasy Battle sculpt. Very recognizable. Very, very nice to look at. This one was painted very well, I realize. The Warrior. You might have noticed that I have a video where I have a bunch of these Talisman miniatures, and I have them painted red, and I have them based on HeroQuest sized bases. And yeah, I actually do have one of every one of these miniatures from this edition of Talisman that I have acquired and painted and rebased so that I could use them all as heroes in HeroQuest. The Swashbuckler is next. This one's not too exciting for me, but that's okay. He's still a solid character. This is the Wizard, and an excellent wizard he is. I was about to say I'm missing a wing on the hat, but no, I have him. You may use experience points to gain spells. For every 7 experience points that you discard, you gain 1 spell. This is the Wizard. You're a hairy wizard. Go ahead and get you a nice visual on all the heroes that we've looked at so far. Well, heroes. The Wood Elf exists. The Wood Elf miniature exists. I respect Athel Lauren. That's about it. Goblin Fanatic is one of my favorite characters from this game. You may only use your ball and chain in battle. Your ball and chain allows you to roll 2 dice in battle, not psychic combat, adding their scores together. However, if you roll a double, you have wrapped the chains around your neck and you automatically lose. But you can take other goblins and wolves as followers. The sculpt for this guy is great. Another reused sculpt. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Wood Elf is too. The Minotaur is next. You can't wear a helmet. I wonder why. You were not affected by the maze or the siren. There were at least 2 different Minotaur sculpts, one with the club, which does not match the card art, the other one with the axe. This was probably switched out with one of the other ones. I think I took the axe one for use with my HeroQuest kit project. They are in every way, shape, and form the exact same sculpt, except for one's got a club and the other one's got an axe. Knight Templar, Knight Templar, Knight Templar, Templar. Ranger. You may choose to ignore the effects of the storm and the blizzard. You don't need to roll the dice in the crags, forest, or chasm. Ranger. Dwarf Warrior. Dwarf Warrior. I actually don't prefer this sculpt to any other dwarf sculpt I've ever seen. He's such a squat little... Look at him. He's such a dork. And a dwarven dork is really just a dwark. Yeah, we're gonna go with that, actually. The Barbarian. You can choose to go berserk in battle. If you do, you may add to your dice roll for the battle. However, if you lose 2 lives instead of 1. And here's the Barbarian sculpt, looking fantastic. You can be a Skaven in Talisman 3rd edition. When you reroll a 6 for movement, you may choose to use your network of secret tunnels to move to any space in the same region instead of moving normally. Then you can take Skavens, giant rats, or rat ogres as followers. Definitely an oft-used sculpt. There are many variations of this sculpt as well, including one with a hole through the hand to affix a removable shield, such in the case of Advanced HeroQuest and Mighty Warriors. Probably worth noting, the cards that had the miniatures, the photographs of the painted miniatures, are the base game. The illustrations are going to be from the expansions, and we have the Sorceress, one of my favorite sculpts across the entire Citadel line. She looks so cool. She could be painted to look really, really nice. She has such a huge sword. Dynamic pose. She could be casting, standing on top of a precipice of some kind, commanding an army. Awesome headgear. The Alchemist. And here he is. He's got his scroll. You could paint this, you could put whatever you like on it. These guys were all already kind of given a wash. I really like how they look with this. It actually makes the details pop so much more than if they were just left blank. I might try to find out how to do that and then do that for all the rest of my miniatures in this game. And then I might do that for just every miniature that I own. Astronomer. And we have the Astronomer here, an excellent wizard-like boss character for use with HeroQuest. The details on him are just awesome. The Chaos Sorcerer, a completely different sculpt than the Chaos Sorcerer in HeroQuest. This one's much more badass. It's much more strength, imposing action. It's not just standing there. I could cast a spell on you, but I'm going to just stare at you menacingly instead. This guy is doing that, but they actually sculpted his teeth and his set jaw, and he just looks awesome. No notes, 11 out of 10. You can be a Chaos Dwarf in Talisman. One of the most difficult to get minis probably in the entire Games Workshop range is the Chaos Dwarf. Any variety, any sculpt, but here he is. This is one of the miniatures I did not get a copy of for my HeroQuest project, but that's okay. That's okay. He's expensive. That miniature alone is probably like trying to go for $50 on the secondhand market or something. So it's time to sail the high seas with that one. We don't have much left to go. We have the Assassin. Not exactly my favorite sculpt. Not a bad sculpt, just not one that really appeals to me because of its awkward shape. But yeah, no, I understand the cloak and dagger aspect here. The Witch Elf. Your weapons are poisoned. If you win a battle against another player and you decide to take a life instead of an object or a bag of gold, then they lose 2 lives instead of only 1. The Witch Elf has one of my favorite sculpts also, and if you think you sense a theme, well, you're partially right. I do like the medieval skulls. A little bit of sprue on this one. I'll leave that actually for now. Her sculpt is awesome. Another one that I think is reused in boxes of warbands. The Dragon Slayer is up next, and this game does prove that it has great dwarf representation with our Slayer sculpt here. I don't know if this guy would be reused. He kind of has that squatty Talisman look to him. I've seen plenty of Slayer sculpts across the years, but I don't know if any of them are quite as silly as the one for Talisman. Sorry. The Shaman is up next. The Shaman has a great sculpt as well. Really liking the animal furs and skins and whatnot. No doubt taken respectfully, sourced ethically. And the stang here is one of a definitely wood and bone variety. The giant claw really sells me too. The reused claw weapon. Next up is the druid. It only makes sense that we would have a druid, right? Our druid is here, and he has not just a sickle, but a staff as well. Very sagely appearance, beard and long hair flowing, draped across his shoulders and his cape. Cloak, great sculpt. The halfling is next. This is one of my least favorite halflings of all time. It's just so dopey looking, so dorky. This is the Games Workshop Warhammer halfling, unfortunately. Very silly, but that's okay. They're supposed to be. It's everything it's supposed to be. I have no doubt of that. But the art is just even worse. Terrible. Just, it's not bad art, but man, it looks ugly. It makes the halfling look ugly. The High Priest is next. This one in particular is a great sculpt to put in your games of Conan. If you're running games of Conan with your 1990s Games Workshop miniatures, this guy can easily be a snake priest, a priest from the cult of Set. When you encounter a spirit, instead of fighting, you exorcise it by moving it to any other space in the same region that's not occupied by another player. And finally, the Fire Wizard. When you cast a fireball spell, you do not have to discard it. You may keep the card, and you can use it again, but not in the same turn, and you do start the game with the fireball spell. Just infinite fireball spells from the Fire Wizard, nowadays known as the Bright Wizard, I think. A great sculpt, dynamic, flowing hair, looks like it'd be a lot of fun to paint. And that, brave adventurers, brave followers, is Talisman 3rd edition, almost in its entirety. However, there is one thing left we have to do. I gotta show you my dragon sculpt. And this is he. Yes, this is a metal version of the sculpt that I acquired just so that I could have one that was painted. I mean, it was really hard to pass up on. There were definitely some sections that I had to re-piece together, sections that were already pinned and puttied, but a little bit of super glue reinforcement until they cured. 100% did the trick, and now they cut an imposing silhouette wherever I choose to place them. The plastic sculpt of this dragon is considerably larger. It probably stands about up to here. I mean, you saw the face earlier. It comes out quite a bit. It is the same sculpt though. For all intents and purposes, the same exact figurine is made, just at a smaller scale. So actually not the same sculpt at all, but 100% a completely different one. I hope that you enjoyed this look at Talisman. Did you own this edition? Do you have it? Do you consider it an indispensable part of your collection? Do you prefer this edition over the other editions that have come our way since time immemorial? Does this one hold any particular fondness for you in your heart? Is it covered in the Games Workshop IP stink? Or does the Warhammer inclusion, which is so explicitly stated on the attribution sections of the box and anywhere that they can choose to put it, actually make it more endearing for you? If you made it to this part of the video, you're just about to the end, so I hope you'll comment down below, Crown of Command. Or I don't know, is that too predictable? You could say like, it's raining men, hallelujah. I realize I could probably have slightly more efficient storage that would provide protection, better protection for my miniatures. I think I told you that this was my second favorite dragon. I am ready to show you my first favorite. It is nearly an identical sculpt. It is pretty much the exact same one, but with a second head attached. This is the Chaos Dragon. This is Egon von Holzmann sitting atop. He has been cemented on. There's no reason to take him off or take off that second head. You can see that it indeed is the same sculpt, just with the arm slightly in a different spot, which is your choice when you are assembling these gargantuan figures. And of course, the inclusion of the second head and the guy riding. We've also got a second tail. This is just one of the most awesome dragons ever. The dragon is metal. The wings, for some reason, are plastic. And that is true of my other sculpt as well. It's cool. It's cool. Favorite Warhammer sculpt? Go. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I've got a lot of a mess to clean up here, and I will see you in the next exciting adventure. Until then, brave heroes, I bid you a fantastic rest of your day and a farewell for now. Skulls.